Pleasant good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are. Welcome to the Monday's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Today is Monday, the 29th day of January in the year 2024. Imagine that, the 29th day of January already. Just the other day, we were talking about New Year's Day, we were talking about Christmas, and the first month of the year is almost at an end. So welcome one and all. Welcome to this Monday's edition. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I hope you're looking forward to a productive week. We have a lot to celebrate. Ulrich, Clint, CC, Jacko, all the cricket fans. We have a lot. We got to talk about it in a short while. But share the live. Let them know that we are on. Let them know that Speaking Out is here. We have so much to tell you this morning. Again, so much. You know, every time we come on, whether it's a Monday, whether it's a Wednesday, on the few special shows we have had so much to tell you about, and today is no exception. So share the live, get settled in. We noted that the schoolyard was full this morning for a Monday. Schoolyard full, more than usual. When we do the roll call, you'll come to realize how many persons were in the schoolyard just waiting for the school door to open. And once it was open, then there was a rush on the students to get in. And again, I remind you, those people who are on YouTube, once the program is scheduled, they go sometimes and they log in immediately. And the ones that are on Facebook have to wait until we go live, then they are able to make comments. So if you want to be in early, the place to be is YouTube. At this stage, again, I want to encourage you to subscribe to the YouTube channel and to follow the Facebook page. Many persons, some of you right there now, I know, have not done so. Even though you're on the program every day, every Monday and every Wednesday, you have not followed the program and you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel. So I encourage you to do so. Some of you might be technically challenged. Get someone to advise you how to get it done, because that assists in popularizing the program. And as you're on it, as someone will say, the light one will tell you, just like the show, that generates the algorithms for more people to get to see the show. Don't be selfish. Like the show, and let's move on. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's celebrate being in the land of the living. And as I said, us West Indian, us Guyanese, we have so much to celebrate with regards to the victory yesterday over the mighty Australia. We're going to delve in that a little bit more. You can't allow such a victory, such a remarkable performance to go unnoticed. So we will give our piece on it this morning. So share the live. Let people know. We already see lots of people are here already. Many, dozens and dozens, scores of persons are in the classroom, ready and waiting. And I'm sure we're not going to disappoint you this morning. My colleague, Mr. Conway, is already in the studio. We're waiting, we're rearing and waiting to go. Just giving you an opportunity to share and share. And again, I say, we have to share, because even the ones who are coming on just to find fault, you have to give them an opportunity to come on too. They come to find fault and perhaps to say that we have said something defamatory, and then they're going to want to take us up the court. But we maintain that everything we say in this program is the truth. And we dare anyone to challenge or to prove otherwise. We are speaking the truth, and the truth shall set you free. If people are afraid of the truth, that is on them, that is not on us. So we're going to tell you a lot. I did not send out a notification for this program this morning, but if I had done so, I would have told you that one of the main things that we have to speak on this morning is that, should I call it a report, commission of inquiry report, whatever it is, that disgraceful thing that we have here as a commission of inquiry report. I'm referring to the Madhya school fire. So we're going to go through that this morning as one of the main issues. That's the main issue on the program this morning. So share the live, and let me do the roll call. And then after the roll call, we're going to get into the meat of the program. The first man here this morning, and you have to give him his prize. He's here every week, but today he managed to be here at 7:38. That is when the program was scheduled. I'm referring to Sean, ex-sergeant Sean Robin Janat. He was here very early this morning. Congrats, Sean. He's from New York. Then we had Marlon from Linden, coming number 2. My squad mate, Carlton, and he's saying that he on vacation in New York, and hopefully he'll be back for our 50th anniversary in the summer. And he's referring to the 50th anniversary of Course 74, which is, even though as I explained to you, my squad mates, we joined in 2 sections, 2 halves, on the 15th of February, the first set, and on the 1st of March, 1974, the second set. So we are approaching our 50th anniversary. Then we had Raul. Raul, I missed you a few weeks. Raul is here in class. John is here. John, no miss. Then we have Patricia, is another regular in class. Cecile here waiting. And then out of the UK, Wayne Liddell, another regular. Then we have Fergus Combat. He says he's a retired specialist he's retired from the special constabulary. His number was 4351. He's reporting for class. Then Vibert, another regular. Vibert is here, 1966. Vibert Lawson. He joins from New York. Then Ulrich. Ulrich is the man here. Ulrich must comment. Of course, he commented on the Garbo victory. We're going to talk about it a little bit more, Ulrich. Francis, the man from Melanie, is very much here. He too speaks about Shamar. Joseph, the outstanding performance of the Guyanese in the West Indies team. Princess Earl is here from Lamar Springs. Tessa I from Florida. Debbie is in the class. Joan came in and she wishing us the blessed weekend. Debbie, I mentioned. Then we have the BV man Ezekiah. BV man Ezekiah is speaking about the fantastic victories or fantastic matches over the weekend. We found the test matches between India and England and West Indies and Australia. And of course, the under 19, he said we shouldn't forget the performance of the West Indies under 19 team. They defeated England in the last game and advanced to the Super 6. Gavin, cricket friend, cricket follower as well. Earl is here. Felicia is in class. Rastaman is here. Como, 8218 Como Watch from New Jersey is here. Osbert, I can't recall seeing Osbert before. He's from North Carolina. He's in the house. Welcome, Osbert. Then we have Julian in the class. Glaston, my squad mate, 9556, is very much here. Original Black Man, that's the man who told me, having listened to this program, having been a regular follower of this program, he believed that he can practice law. He said he learned so much on this program. Then we have Lyndon. Lyndon is from Patterson, New Jersey. He says his hometown is Stanleytown, New Amsterdam. And Patterson, New Jersey in the house. Stratty is very much here. We have Orin in class. Pamela from the west side is here. Clifton, he's here every week. He's watching from Paris, man from Europe. Monica is in the house. Then we have Denise is here. Johnny, Brian, Saul, and Courtney Saul. The Sauls are in the house. Then we have Colin, Ari. Vibert, the man from East Bank, is here. Maury is in the house. And Maury, I missed you a few weeks too. Lucius, don't miss a class. He's here. Barbara is very much here. Carl Artman, my squad mate, 9414. He is from, he watching all the way from Arizona. The man watching from the desert. Then we have Cranston Rigby. He says his regulation number was 15837. He's reporting a class. Maureen is here. My squad mate out of Canada, Doreen, W349, Doreen Green is in the house. Tilula is very much here. Then we have the one and only BX Buxton from New Jersey, 9407, another squad mate in the house. Then out of the UK, we have Winston and follows. Then we had Anthony Bradshaw. He's a cricket man too. 11032 Bradshaw. He's from the East Bank. George Calder. I think what was George's number? 11899, I think. I got an old number. Can't remember all of these numbers. I think that was his number. George hit me up and let me know. I think it was 11899. I'm remembering some 99. Then we have Terrence TK 9135 in the house. He's from California. Then we have Keelan is in the house. Malcolm is very much here. Gordon. That Gordon is old police. He's 6659. He's out of Canada. Then we have the squad mate of the extended squatter, Michael, is in the house. He says his number was 14126, and he's back. He missed a few episodes, but he's now back home in the British Virgin Islands and he's on the program. Jacko from Georgia is here. Clay is in the house. Patricia, Rhonda, Pito 8152. See what I tell you all of the number of persons who just waiting to get in. These are all people who are in the class or schoolyard waiting for the program to start. Then we have another squad mate, 9555, all the fives, Ulrich Stevens in the house. Then Evelyn is here. Queenie says she's now 14914 and she is watching from Brooklyn. Kay Podmore is here, and Kay Podmore said that she was asked a question. She was in a conversation about the name of the smallest street, and I couldn't answer. Well, somebody did come in later on and make the comment that it is known as Piccadilly Street. Piccadilly Street, or we used to call it Short Street. And that is a street between the eastern and western carriageway of Waterloo Street, just where Oster and Globe used to be. There's a short street there. Vendors used to be a piece of time. It has a name. It has a name, Piccadilly Street. I think we used to call it some time ago Short Street. So there is it, okay. I noted one of the students gave the answer Piccadilly Street. Then we have Clarence is here. Philip is in the class. Carville, another squad mate of mine. And we have Vashti. Vashti was so anxious to get on, and Vashti wanted to know if the live was on yet. Vashti, just a reminder, the live starts at 12 p.m. Ghana time, and that's 11 a.m. New York, Eastern Standard Time. Malcolm is in the house. Wade, Ward rather, Ian Ward, Orville, Emerson, Philip is here. Then we have Henrik, Everett, the man from Texas is here. Anthony, Sheila, another squad mate, W351 is in the house. Danny is in the house. Danny is very much here. Lynette Fraser from the UK in the house. Then we have Easy Azor is here. Bart came in. Chilo, Philip, Orin from the UK is also here. Bonita, Magnell, and for the early birds on YouTube, Maxwell was the last man. And when we went live, Denise came in, Pinky, Raul, another regular, Joan, followed by Joan immediately after Bonita, Altia, Audrey, Lynette from Barbados, Bonita, welcome Bonita, Elvis, and the list goes on and on and on. But let me move on. I always promise, to get back if we have time to the roll call, but invariably time runs out and we are unable to get back to that. You're welcome, Kay. Kay thank me for the information about the shortest street. She says smallest, but I know she meant shortest street. Where do we? Let me give you some stuff here as we gonna start after the. Let me birthday greetings. Birthday, and this is belated birthday greetings going out to ASP Clark, Ron Clark, also ASP Kurt Smith, recently celebrated a birthday. Also, retired Inspector Alan Doris, he celebrated a birthday recently. I'd like to wish all those persons happy birthday. And then we have advanced birthday greetings. This is not a usual feature, but advanced birthday greetings because tomorrow is the birth anniversary of retired Deputy Commissioner Alves. Lyndon Alves celebrates a birthday tomorrow. And a very good friend of mine, very, very good friend, former general manager of Citizens Bank. He started the bank. I'm referring to no other than Mr. Harlan Paris. He celebrates a birthday tomorrow as well. So I want to wish those persons advance happy birthday greetings and hope you enjoy it to the fullest. For Mr. Paris, I know back in the day we would have gotten together and would have a wonderful time. So I hope you have a wonderful time and that all of you live to see many, many more prosperous birthdays. Now, let me, before I go on, let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we're going to move on with the program. Mr. Conway, welcome. Hope you had a wonderful weekend and we're looking forward to a productive week.
Thank you. And I'm a West Indian, so it was a wonderful weekend. And I'm happy to be in the land of the living and able to do God's work.
Yeah, we all have to do God's work. And as I move on, let me remind you, as I alluded to earlier, Course 74, we're going to have our 50th anniversary in a few weeks' time. And the plan is for us to get together during the summer. I suspect, based on the conversations I've had, they're likely to be a get together in New York for those who are in the States and can make it there, and one in Guyana for those who are in Guyana. So we are going to celebrate our 50th anniversary. We are going to do so. And I want to remind you, members of course 106, that is from 10916 Adams to 10950 Tyndall, that you need to get into contact with 10918 Charlie, Leroy Charles. And the telephone number again is 347-463-5371. I repeat that, 347-463-5371. Or you can get him on Facebook Messenger, because he's trying to organize a reunion of course 106. And moving on, let me talk about this cricket a little bit, man. What a wonderful match. What a wonderful match. And let me admit, I miss out. I was traveling, and therefore I couldn't get. First of all, the traveling was a very was delayed and very traumatic one. Flight should have left at 6 o'clock. Then they said 7:15. Then they said 12:15. That's 6 o'clock Saturday afternoon. Then they said 7:15 Saturday evening, and then it was 12:15 Sunday morning. So eventually it left at 12:15. The match actually started at 12. You get up there, you can't get Wi-Fi, Caribbean Airlines. So I waited and waited until I touched down. When I touched down, I turned on the phone. I got the shock of my life. I had to read and read again to realize that the people were saying that West Indies won the game. Because when I saw Shamar Joseph, I said something wrong, because the last thing I heard the day before is that Shamar Joseph get a Yorker from Stark onto his big toe. He was aided, he was assisted off the field. He was in such agonizing pain. They helped him off the field. And they said that he was unlikely to participate any further in the match. So that is what I started to fly, the understanding I had. So when I saw Shamar Joseph 7 for 68, I said, no, they must have made a mistake. Got to be Alzari Joseph, the other pace bowler in the team, can't be Shamar. So then I went to Willow Cricket to look at the headlines, and my God, what a victory. What a victory. And to put it in context, CC, this is a team when they were selected to go to Australia. And I got to be honest, I did not give them a chance. 7 uncapped players going to Australia. Australia is the #1 team in the world. You have 7 rookies, actually. 7 rookies going on that tour. I said, this is blows. And then in the first test, I told a friend, I said, it's a 3-day test match. And it was a 3-day test match. The second test, which is the one concluded yesterday, I said, well, this is likely to be another 3-day. But if we can stretch it into the 4th day, we would be doing well. And boy, oh boy, to have come back and to have won that game, to make Brian Lara, Carl Hooper, Ian Bishop, and all of those people get emotional for the world to see. One can very well imagine how tremendous a victory that was. I miss out, in a few years back, I used to be a part of that team. And I could tell you about the celebrations and the joy that we would have had in those days. So the few victories we would have had. So it was, and then yes, Sean, these people don't learn, Rodney Hogg made a statement saying that our West Indies was pathetic. And many of you might not know, but back in the 70s, 1976 to be exact, when West Indies toured England, Tony Gregg, a South African-born Englishman, said that he was going to make the West Indies team grovel. That is what he said. That is the word he used. And the boys, Mikey Olden, Andy Roberts, Viv Richards, Clive Lloyd, Gordon Greenwich, Desmond Hayes, and all those people, they used that as a motivating factor. That statement by Tony Gregg that they were going to grovel. And I suspect that when Rodney Hogg, according to the captain said that he showed him some muscles. that must have inspired and motivated them. So let them continue to make these remarks until, they're talking about two-tier test cricket, because West Indies has been so pathetic in recent years with other teams as well, that maybe they should never be playing with the top players and so on. West Indies, I understand this, folks, beat the top team in the world, Australia, a rookie West Indies team. And then it's a ping ball cricket. That is night cricket, ping ball. It's the first time West Indies won a ping ball match. Australia have won 11 ping ball test matches. West Indies never won one before yesterday. Joseph, the hero of the team, never played in a ping ball match before. Never played. It must be the first time he holding a ping ball since he get to Australia. 7 for 68. 7 for 68. The man gave Travis Head a golden duck, first ball, clean up the half stump. That was a fantastic performance, and we should not let that go easily. We don't have these occasions very often these days, so whenever they come around, we must make full advantage of them. Shamar Joseph from a place called Barakara. A lot of people resorting, where Barakara there? Place in the Kanji Creek. Some old maroon village, and from obscurity to fame. And I noted a while ago, just a while before I came on the program, that he's already signed up by a Pakistani team for the Pakistani T20. I know he said that whatever he does, Test cricket playing for the West Indies will be his priority. This is a good thing. The man has to make some money, but he has to manage his affairs very, very carefully, because you can be sucked in to this T20 league and the T20 circus around the world very, very easily. But stay focused, young man. Let me bring you Mr. Conway. CC, I know as a cricket fan, you must have enjoyed immensely the victory yesterday. Let me hear your take on it, man.
Like you, Paul, I nearly miss out because I didn't really expect West Indies to win. Although from the starting of the series, I posited right on this very program that we mightn't get good batters, great batsmen might not emerge. But I say a Michael Olin might emerge. 'Cause I remember when Clive Light took Michael Olin to Australia, he played very little first class match and he had very little wicket, but he had raw pace. And I liken Joseph to a Michael Olin in his early days. But I was up and I was reading a book, coincidentally, a bookmark, Crucial Confrontation. It's written by four men, Kerry Patterson, Joseph Jenny, Ron McQuillan, and Al Wilzer. And reading Crucial Confrontation up to midnight. My wife is an ardent cricket fan. I introduced her to cricket, international and test cricket, for over 45 years ago, and she's more cricket fan than I am right now. And she told me to wake her up at midnight. So I woke up at midnight and we started to watch. I didn't see Joseph, so I said, girl, I again and sleep. You try there, she West Indies gonna win. I said, well, you try there, I again and sleep. So I went and I slept, and then she woke me up and she, Shamar playing, come and watch. West Indies gonna win. So I got up reluctantly and I watched, and I had no regret. It was devastating. I have so much joy. At one stage, I sat in the chair, you know. I wanted to go to the bathroom, but I couldn't get up because I don't want to miss a ball. I don't want to miss anything that happened. I don't want to miss the bowling, you know. And it was very, very devastating. It really pleased my heart. And then, you know, when you talk about him, he was so composed. He could really handle the press. I remember when I called him up to receive his awards, player of the match and player of the series. They put him to talk and to back his fellow players. And he turned around and said, no, you can't back them. You know, you got to face them and talk. And he has done outstandingly well. I hope that he'll be well managed by the West Indies cricket board. And he was, you know, really, really excellent. I went to Barca as a commander several times during my stint as a commander there. A nice little village. You have lots of provision there, lots of fresh fruits. You might have lots of wild meat and lots of fresh fish. And I can't remember seeing him. Perhaps sometime when I went there, he was a little boy running short tail about the place. I'm talking about over 12, 15 years ago, you know. But congratulations to him. And I hope that the West Indies team, West Indies Cricket Board, Cricket West Indies, really, you know, manage him properly. And then on the other end, in India, imagine India in the first innings made over 400 runs. And we say when you make 400 runs in a first innings, you can't lose a match. The most could happen is you could draw. And they led England by 190 runs. And England had Pope and the star bowler and they won the match so convincingly. So cricket really is a game of glorious uncertainties. And kudos to Shamar. Kudos for the man from Bartik, from the, the, the man from Barker. Kudos to the Guyanese. We must blow our own trumpet.
We must indeed blow our trumpet, and I hope that when he returns, that he is going to be given the welcome he deserves. I know the politicians like to run and take over things, you know, and make politics, try to get mileage, political mileage out of something like this. But us all Guyanese should proud. I know what this reminds me of. This on the strength, as they would call it, team that went to Australia. It reminded me not so long ago when just after COVID, when West Indies went to Bangladesh. I was part of that setup there. Went to Bangladesh, and nobody gave us a chance. And we had Kyle Mayers emerging, Raheem Cornwall doing well, and we won that series in Bangladesh. Remember, not so long ago. So every time they write us off, and every time people believe that we are going to be rolled over, we don't roll over and take the blows. And you know, it is, and we must always understand. We must always understand that the talent is there. It is evident that the talent is there. And given the opportunity, these men, Joseph and this guy, grasped the opportunity. Because had it not been for the fact that some of the more established players opted not to go to Australia, you would not have had a Shamar Joseph emerging. Let me face facts. We would not have had Shamar Joseph emerging had the more established players been available. So the thing is about grasping opportunities. Grasping opportunities, that is what these younger fellas have to understand. You make the sacrifice, when the opportunity presents itself, you grasp it. And for those who believe, you know, the purists like myself, CC, Ulrich, and the others, we know Test cricket won't die. Test cricket would not die. Some people who like the lick and promise, the T20 and so on, they're going to enjoy that type of, there's entertainment. But for us purists who can enjoy and see and anticipate all the twists and turns and the uncertainties, this is what Test cricket is all about. This is what makes that version of the cricket so exciting and so grow. Yes, periods can be boring, but if you understand the game, that even when it is boring, you can anticipate some type of excitement. You can see some type of strategy being developed. And that is what makes it. And CC is right. Normally, as a rule of thumb, once you bat first and you make 400 and add runs, then you know you should not lose the game. People say at least you're going to draw. But no. The Harlem thing turned upside down now. And I like the fact that England won. I don't normally back England, but I love the fact that England won because going to India at Hyderabad, when they prepared, the ball turned from the very first over, the ball was turning. From the very first over, the ball was turning, and England defeated them in their own backyard at their own game. That is what happens. England defeated India in their backyard at their own thing, turning pitch. So Test cricket is here to stay. Very, very, very exciting format for those who really love the game. But let us move on. Let us move on. Now, I have to update you. And, you know, I like to bring you up to date on these court matters. I got a shock last week, Thursday it was, when I got a note that there's a matter in the Court of Appeal, the Ghana Court of Appeal, um, and I was the respondent. I didn't even remember the thing. And they said Ghana is not a real place. Back in 2001, when I was charged with this conspiracy charge, which was dismissed in December last year, I had a suspicion that if I attempted to leave the country, they would have prevented me from doing so. So after discussion with my lawyer, we decided that we were going to move to the court to get permission from the court for me to travel out of the jurisdiction. So we did so. We moved to the court. The matter was before the Chief Justice. The Attorney General objected. In other words, the Attorney General said that I should not be allowed to leave the country. And when we said the Attorney General objected, I'm not talking about the Attorney General's chamber. The Attorney General appeared himself, and he objected to the granting of permission, of me granting permission to leave, even though as part of my evidence, I had a contract to perform, to work overseas. In the face of all of that, the Attorney General said I should not be allowed to leave the jurisdiction. Anyhow, the Chief Justice granted me permission to leave. I had to leave what we call a transport. I had to get a letter from the person who bailed me that they had no objection to my leaving and all of that. I had to leave. It was conditional. I had to return by a particular time. I left, and as a law-abiding citizen, I returned when the court said I should return. The Attorney General, I said he objected to that, and he appealed that decision of the Chief Justice to allow me to travel. And I had to go back to court on 2 occasions to get permission to travel. So when I returned after the Chief Justice granted me that first permission, I had to leave again to go and work. The matter was before Justice Singh. He too granted me permission, conditional, to return by a certain time. Again, the Attorney General Chambers objected to my leaving, even though I left and I returned and I was seeking to leave again. They objected. Then I came back and I wanted to leave a 3rd time. This time my contract had expired. So when I went before the court, at that stage, they did not object to my leaving the country, so I got permission to leave. But since then, we all know that the court ruled that the Guyana Police Force cannot prevent someone from leaving unless a court so orders. So when I turned up, I was there virtually on Friday at this Court of Appeal to discover is this a matter of 2021 where the Chief Justice granted me permission to leave. That appeal to the appeal court by the Attorney General is still there pending. The matter is now set to come up again, I think, on the 12th of February. So, you really can't believe these things. And that is why I want to bring these things to your attention. You must know what is going on. I was shocked. So when the lawyers told me that this matter is before the Court of Appeal on Friday, I wanted to know what matter they were referring to. And then I got the details, and I was in court on the 19th for this crazy appeal. Let me hope. I don't know what is going to come of it, whether it's just academic or otherwise. I don't know. But I could tell you that since the Chief Justice granted me permission in 2021, December, to leave the jurisdiction, I left and returned on no fewer than 6 occasions. I left, I returned, I left, I returned, no fewer than 6 times. So let's see where that will go. Yes, Evelyn, it's nonsense, but we got to face up with it. Then let me bring in CC if you want to make any comment on that. CC, any comment?
I know, the lies in your favor, man. So there's no need for you to worry about that. Maybe it's just academic.
Well, I think that I would think that it's academic. If not academic, I would hope that the good sense prevail and they withdraw that. So I don't know. But we shall see. We shall see. Moving on, there's a matter here, what I consider a very disturbing matter, which I wish to bring to attention. I read in the news, social media, I think it was, a release from the Guyana Police Force, that unit that I refer to as the propaganda unit. There was a raid, and there's a raid, what is it? They say prohibited items found during a search at a school, and they named the school. They had a exercise where the staff of the school and police searched the bags of children, of students attending that school. Right? They found a lot of prohibited items, scissors and lighters and that type of thing. And nothing wrong with the search being carried out. But for the police corporate communication unit or the police corporate propaganda unit to name the school, they named it. I'm not going to name the school. And not only that, they named each and every teacher and each and every police rank that was involved in that operation at that school. And let me read. And as I said, I'm not going to mention the name of the school, nor am I going to mention the persons who were involved. And I'm going to tell you why a little later. It says the Department of Education Schools Welfare Unit, Georgetown, carried out a scheduled search today. That was on the 25th. At day, and they named the school Georgetown to ensure that learners are not in possession of prohibited items. And then they go on to say the search was conducted between 9:45 and 12 hours and was facilitated by, they named the teachers, 7 teachers, they named the police, ranks 4. They said several classes and student bags were searched and prohibited items were found and confiscated by the school welfare officer. The prohibited items in picture, I look the prohibited items here. These are the prohibited items. These are the prohibited items. As you can see, scissors, what we used to call Afro comb. Those things were found in the school. Nothing wrong with, as I said, nothing wrong with carrying out the search, but it was reckless of the police to name the school and to name the teachers and policemen. Now, we have had incidents, frequent incidents, disturbing incidents, where teachers have been attacked, teachers have been assaulted by children, by school children, and by parents. And in the face of that, you tell me that the police are going to still release the names of the teachers who were involved in this operation? Let me bring in CC for him to comment on that part of it. CC, how in heaven's name can the police be so insensitive as to release the name of the school in the first place? So you have a situation now where I suspect all those students from that school are stigmatized, all, because they release the name of the school. And then they name the teachers who were involved in that operation. CC, let me hear your views on that.
It's very insensitive, insensitive to the highest degree. How could you name the teachers? How could you name the police? Huh? You and the name of the school, you are attaching a stigma to the school. And then when you see those scissors, I think they get sewing classes there. Those scissors look like they were chopping up drugs. So apparently that school is a school where a lot of marijuana circulating, a lot of marijuana being trafficked in there. There's a purpose of the scissors. I think they're doing sewing classes there. And you name the teachers. Teachers could be targeted. They could be targeted by parents. We know what's going on. Their parents and a teacher had to go to school, remember, somewhere on his bank with a cutlass. That parents are attacking teachers over and over again. And when you put up the names there, look out for reactive action from parents and from others. That is total uncalled for, total nonsense. And then the big picture is that apparently drug is being trafficked in that school.
Well, you said it, you said it. I hope they realize that having that number of scissors in the school is not, not an offensive weapon where the people trying to defend themselves. It's an indication that weed is being chopped. Because you would note, students, that when they have these shows at the Providence Stadium or the National Park, when they have these shows, one of the things that they see is scissors. And we know this is not speculation that those scissors are used to chop weed. So if you see that large quantity of scissors being seized from students in a school, one can reasonably assume that it is being used to chop weed as well in that school. So I hope that they see the larger picture, and that makes it even more dangerous to have released the names of the teachers and the students who were involved in that operation. And I say again, this corporate communication unit they have, headed by one Mark Ramatar, they really don't know what they're about. And they're getting to the point now where they're actually putting people's lives in danger. Those teachers whose names were released, not only not only the students, but imagine you have pushers who might very well be involved, be an integral part of this process. They now know who are the ones they should target. Because as we say, they're cutting up their runnings. They're cutting up their runnings, and the people are likely to react violently. They are likely to react violently. So again, I ask the question, who controls the releases that are made by this unit? Is anyone with police experience and police knowledge vet these things before they go there? It appears that that doesn't take place. It appears that that doesn't take place, so they can say that they have a raid, name the school, which is the first error. You should name the school. Because you name the school, that school is stigmatized. All the children going to that school is stigmatized. And then you're going to go now and you're going to put the names of the teachers, the names. I have the names here in the release. Every single teacher, I think the count about 7 teachers and 4 police ranks were involved. And the names of the police ranks, the number, name, and rank of those police women, because I think they're all women, were put in the release. And I say that is insensitivity, that is callousness, that is perhaps even criminal because you are exposing those persons to danger. And I don't know when they are going to take stock of this unit and decide to either disband them altogether or to get competent leadership for that unit. Yes, competent leadership. And again, you got to call on people like the Minister of Education, the Minister of Home Affairs. The police is part of his responsibility. Minister of Home Affairs. They should, and this is not the operational matter. This should be a policy thing where people should know that information like this should not be released to the public. They should know. But what's going to happen? No one is held accountable for these issues, and it is likely to continue. It is likely to continue. They're putting people's lives in danger. Let me see. Mr. Conway, you want to say anything more on this before I move on?
Not really, but it is disgraceful. And unless somebody really takes some proper command and control of that, I call it confusing unit. More things is going to be exposed to the detriment of the general public.
Yeah. And let me move on. A few weeks ago, we told you about, they had a budget, 1 point something trillion dollars budget. And the minister, the attorney general made a statement that police are provided with all the resources they need to fight crime and so on. But yet still we see over the weekend, some set of businessmen donated 13 motorcyclists. The article says police received 13 motorcyclists from several private sector entities, businesses across the country to help with its ongoing crime fighting efforts. And look the motorcycles. I'll get a picture of it here. 13 motorcycles donated to the police. And we're talking about a budget this year of 1 point something trillion dollars. But it appears as though the police are still not getting sufficient resources from the government coffers to deal with crime fighting and all of that. 13. And then I have the picture here of the presentation being made. This is the presentation being made. You see the businessmen there who represented the group that made the presentation of 13 motorcycles. And we say again, we've said it, once donations are made to the police, there are certain expectations. You can't get away from that. Those businessmen whose names and the entities were mentioned, they're going to tell you, they're going to admit it, but they expect certain expectations. I know somebody said to me, wonder how many of those persons have firearm license or have acquired or in the process or have attempted to acquire firearm license, and whether there's not some quid pro quo in this thing. There are 13 motorcycles. Those are the motorcycles, and these are the people who are donating the motorcycles. But how in God's name you have a oil economy, $1 trillion budget, statement that resources are provided for crime fighting, and yet still businessmen have to come together to donate motorcycles and, as the thing say, to help with the ongoing crime fighting efforts. Mr. Conway, help me out here, man.
I
Something
always
I
been
have to explain.
I always been saying, Paul, is that people will donate because they expect preferential treatment. You hinted maybe how many of them have applied for firearm license. And then, let me be frank. When I look at them, they're all from a one ethnic background. One ethnic background. And I believe that, if you're donating equipment to police, things like vehicles, those vehicles must be customized. I don't think, you give police any type of vehicle. You got to give them vehicle or motorcycles that they can work with, that will be able to be effectively used. And people in Ghana, the Guyanese culture, you don't donate thing and without expecting preferential treatment. And it comes back to the time when Ronald Gadraj was the Minister of Home Affairs, and you buy a fridge for the police and get a gun. You buy a bed for the police, you get a gun. You go and donate some money to the ministry there, and you get a weapon. So the thing is slowly creeping in. And I say, with this fastest growing economy in the world, the government must must give the police the tools to do the work. I heard the president over and over again say that he's going to give the police all the tools that they want to do the work. Nobody in talking to the president, or the president has a change of mind. Did they tell him, hey, we want motorcycle, and he say, hey, you gotta wait till next budget, or some kind of thing, that people expect preferential treatment. And quite a lot of police do not really realize the difference between a genuine donation and what appears to be a bribe. And the thing is, if the people at the top taking, those at the bottom going to take. You get trickle down thing, trickle down corruption. Start at the top and it trickle right down to the bottom. Monkey see, monkey do.
Monkey see, monkey do. Good saying indeed. And and even before that, you had a case where I think it was last week, somebody donated a desk to one of the stations on I think it's Region 3. A desk. Imagine a take a desk, people have to, and the only way, or the only reason they will donate is because there's a need for such an item. A desk, a writing desk was donated to some station. And the question was asked, and I want to raise it here now, whether all these donations are inventorized by the quartermaster store, that the quartermaster has a record, because once they're donated, they might not agree with the method, but they become police property, they become government property, and therefore the quartermaster stores should have a record of all those donations. Lest somebody retiring and then a car that was donated is them own, or a motorcycle that was donated is them own. And I am sure, I'm willing to bet, that if you go now and you check the quartermaster stores, all of those donations, you had 10 vehicles in Essequibo, you had guns from some security company, motorcycles, desks, computers, all of those things. I am sure that those things are not put on the inventory to be properly accounted for. And there's where corruption again comes in. So, Minister Ben, I hope you straighten up and you make sure that these things are done. And this will come under your permanent secretary. Permanent secretary, because those things come under capital. Those are not current expenditure. And if donations of car and things, all of those things are capital items, which should be properly inventorized. So let me make sure, please ensure that that is done. I know that ministry seems to be on a sick bed, critically sick bed. Let me hope they get some energy to make sure that the correct thing is done, because it's corruption after corruption after corruption. Let me make this point. Let me move on to the meat of this thing today. This Linden Commission of Inquiry report. Folks, sit back. Sit back. Last week when I spoke about it, I did tell you that I had not seen the report. I did not read the report then. What I was commenting on was based on editorial in Starbuck News and letters in the media. No sooner than I came off the program, one of the loyal students sent me a copy of the report, and I want to thank that student for doing so. So I was able to download it. I was able to read it, the report, and my God, from the time I started to read this report, I recognize what you call capital BS. And it's not when I say BS, it's bullshit they're talking about. Capital. And let me say, I made a note to say, I'm a former police commander, and I have seen a lot of bullshit reports. I have seen a lot of them. You read them, and sometimes when you read the statements do not support the report. Sometimes the report is written, and the conclusion is not in accord of the body of the report. I have seen those, so I can recognize a bullshit report from a distance. And this one beats all, buddy. This report from the the Madja Commission of Inquiry beats all the bullshit reports I have seen. And it would appear to me that the sole purpose of this report was to absolve the government from blame, from the death of those 20 children. That is it. That is what this thing set out to do. And I'm going to read certain parts, and you tell me if my conclusion is correct. Now, I started out reading the report, and the first turn off I get was on page 14, folks. Page 14 says, in part, Madja formally received its status as a township in the year 2018 and has since enjoyed an array of amenities associated with township status, such as medical facilities, a police station, a magistrate court, a fire station, regional democratic offices, and other public facilities. So right away, I got turned off, because if you're saying that Madja received township status in 2018 and has since, that's what it says, and has since enjoyed an array of amenities. I am no bright boy, but you're suggesting then that these amenities weren't available before the township status in 2018. Boy, know from ever long, Madja had hospital, Madja had police station, and other like regional democratic offices. So when I read that first part, I said, well, look out, more coming. Because this is on page 14, you know. Only they haven't gone into the meat of the thing yet. This is on page 14 on the introduction. It says that they received township status in 2018 and has since enjoyed an array of amenities associated with township status, such as medical facilities, police station, magistrate court, fire station, regional democratic offices. That is what it said. Mr. Conway, your comment on this part, my brother. Let me hear your comment on this part before we move on.
Well, remember I was a commander for ELF division, you know, and Madja came under my command. And Madja, apart from the fire station, Madja had all those facilities available to the community, apart from the fire service. So what they're saying is total, is complete inaccuracy, complete fabrication, and total distortion of facts. But the bottom line is the commission was designed to cover up for the government, and more particularly to cover for the Ministry of Education, and more so the Honorable Minister of Education. So all those things will come into play as a backup. You come front so that you know you could cover for the minister and cover for the ministry.
Yeah, and again, you know, when I read the report, I'm gonna read a few more excerpts from this report, and I give you the reference, the page, and everything. You know, I did this research. I'm gonna give you that. And you know, I wonder, having read this report, who wrote this report? I'm asking who wrote the report. Was it the commissioners who wrote the report? Was it the secretary who wrote the report? Was this report written and presented to them for them to just rubber stamp it? I don't know, because I found some things that is mentioned in this report amazing. page 37, if you go to page 37, they talk about the Ed Caesar report. Ed Caesar was a former education officer, and he was commissioned, I think, in 2017 to do an assessment of the education sector. And here, a part of the report that this the Major Commission of Inquiry report. It says we find the fact that no action was taken in relation to dormitory facilities in this country after 2017 report was a grave neglect of duty bordering on recklessness by the persons vested with power during that period for the care and welfare of our country's children residing in dormitories. We therefore find it was a blatant neglect of those facilities by those in whom authority was bestowed during the period 2017 to 2020. Further, we find that the issues highlighted in the report were to a great extent inherited by the current administration from the previous administration. It is to be pointed out that while those said issues are being addressed by the current administration, the magnitude of neglect which was inherited rendered full rectification a time-consuming exercise. Unfortunately, the tragedy struck before more could have been done. Oh my Lord! They're saying here that Ed Caesar did a report and he identified some issues, including the very fire safety issues that came to the fore. The place is grilled, no firefighting equipment, lack of training for the house mother, and all of that. And this thing is saying they find it was a blatant neglect of those facilities by those whom authorities was bestowed during the period 2017-2020. So what happened with 2021? What happened in 2022? What happened up to 2023 when this fire? All right, you're saying Ed Caesar had recommendations, and the previous administration did not act on those recommendations between 2017 and 2020. But you assumed office in 2020. If these things were so grave and critical, why did you not then seek to action this report recommendation? And then they say, this thing is an amazing indictment on honesty and integrity. This report. It says it is to be pointed out that while those said issues were being addressed by the current administration, the magnitude of neglect which was inherited rendered full rectification a time-consuming exercise. Now, how time-consuming can it be to install fire extinguishers? All right, you might not be able to do all the recommendations, but the thing talk about firefighting. How time-consuming would it have been to remove those grills from the windows? Huh? How time-consuming it would have been to, as I put fire extinguishers and other firefighting appliances in place. See, let me bring you into again here, man. Let me bring this amazing.
Ed Caesar's report. Understand it was commissioned in 2015, presented in 2017. Okay. But the present government inherited it. And even that, after they inherited, the minister rushed to with breakneck speed and commissioned the UNICEF report. That UNICEF report went to cabinet, and according to the minister, that UNICEF report was, the recommendations were approved by cabinet. And what the goodly minister do? She sent it to the relative authorities. Full stop. You mentioned that who you want to know who wrote the report, who signed it. I read the report, but I didn't reach to the very end. I didn't see the signature. Was it one person signed it? Was it all the commission person signed it to make sure that they read it and they agreed with it? I remember our commissioner, I used to say that you are responsible for everything above your signature. And I always talk about an incident when I was a commandant in charge of the police, Felix Austin Police College in Borbis, We had what you call a board of training, and which no longer exists, made up of several persons, several educators from the university and otherwise. And I had to submit a monthly report. And when the secretary brought the report to me, I checked it, and I discovered that she made two mistakes on in the penultimate line. So I asked her to correct it. She brought it back to me. In those days, you couldn't white out anything when you send it to the commissioner. It had to be pure. And I checked, and I saw that she had corrected those two mistakes that were made. And I subsequently circulated my report. I went early to the meeting and I circulated. And then my good friend Larry George called me and said, "Call me like you can't spell, call me like you know English." He was at the meeting. And he used some flowery language. And then I discover that the secretary, after she only correct, she type over the report and made 6 mistakes at the top. I only checked the bottom there. So the thing is that you have to check everything. You are responsible for everything about your signature. So I had to withdraw my report and apologize to the commissioner for not submitting a written report. You know, I took some blows out of my chest and I took my blows. The thing is that, the reports were there. And as you mentioned, what is it? What is it going to take long to take down, to pull down some barriers that were securing the windows? How long it take to put in fire equipment there? How long it take, to put exit points and those things there? And if you inherit it, don't blame at you. You gotta blame yourself because you inherited it, and you gotta take the necessary action to take corrective action. You can't say I give constable in what days. You can't say I give Sergeant Jones or inspectors to do the matter. You gotta ensure when you're delegating. I said over and over, when you're delegating you're delegating authority, and the overall responsibility remains with you. You have got to put in a mechanism in place so that you'll have positive feedback to ensure to make sure that what the instructions that you given were carried out and carried out to your satisfaction. That is leadership. That is supervision. But then they didn't have them kind of thing in the major situation.
No leadership, no supervision. And you mentioned the Ministry of Education UNICEF report. Let me read a part of it because I have it here. They say more BS, more buttering up, more brown nosing. That is what this commission of inquiry was all about. It says here, we specifically commended the Minister of Education, Honorable Priya Manik Chan, for our initiative in commissioning the Ministry of Education UNICEF consultancy survey. We find that the minister elevated to a place of priority the dormitory facilities which were inherited in a woeful state of neglect across Guyana. It goes on to say, we specifically find that following the submissions of the Ministry of Education UNICEF report to Cabinet, systems were immediately put in place for implementation of the recommendations captured therein. We find that the process to comply with the recommendations emanating from the report recommended in 2022 to ensure that the dorms were rehabilitated to a standard to preserve the care, safety, and welfare of students residing in dorms across Guyana. We accept the process is continuing. We accept that the process is continuing on, and that there's a strong commitment by the government of Guyana to comply with the recommendations of the Ministry of Education UNICEF reports as far as is practical. Now, again, that is tremendous BS there. Now, this report was commissioned and it went to a cabinet. Remember, they're saying that there's this Ed Caesar report which made recommendations back in 2017, and they're claiming that the opposition did not do anything. They too, when they assumed office in 2020, did not do anything. They commissioned a report in 2022. The minister commissioned a report in 2022. And they're saying that cabinet, right, a strong commitment by the government to comply with the recommendations. Again, I say, there were recommendations that you were saying that were urgent, like the fire safety, like the removal of the grill. Those things were urgent. And yet still, this government did not act upon them. The minister did not act upon them. And they're coming to tell you a lot of crap. That's the only thing I can describe it as. You got to use, this is not parliament. I'm not going to use parliamentary language and all of that. I'll call it what it is. It is bullshit. That's what it is. It is bullshit. So if, again, I say, at Caesar Report 2017, let me accept, as you're arguing, that the government at the time did not do anything between 2017 and 2020. You assumed office in August of 2020. You had all for the rest of 2020, almost half a year 2020. All of 2021, all of 2022, up to when this fire occurred. You too did not do anything. And nobody wants to accept blame. Nobody wants to accept blame. And this report, this commission of inquiry by Joe Singh, came to absolve the government from blame. So all they do is buttering up. I wonder how much money they get paid. I wonder how much money they get paid. It's just buttering up, it's brown nosing, kissing ass. That is what it is. And then when you read 46, let me read a part of page 46. So, and before I bring in Mr. Conway again, a part of page 46 referring to financial response. It says here, it was reported to us that following their accommodation in Georgetown after the tragedy, all families of those affected were provided with a sum of money to assist in their immediate needs outside of that which was already been provided. Based on the evidence of reports tendered before us, it is evident that a number of government ministries and agencies provided direct financial support to the individual families during the period immediately after and thereafter. We are told that the government assigned a minister to each grieving family, whose responsibility was to personally ensure that the assigned families were coping and their needs were being met. See, bullshit here, buddy. BS. First of all, as a former police, once you're able to summon money, your antennas go up. So they said, it was reported that that following the accommodation in Georgetown after the tragedy, all families of those affected were provided with a sum of money. That rings a bell for us investigators, us trained police run. You get a sum of money. Money get a finite amount. It's either $1 million, $1 million and 2 cents, $1 million provided. Once you hear a sum of money, they're putting it in you without little grease on the thing. You're getting it raw. You're getting it raw. Once you're able to sum of money, that is where, as we say in Guyanese, that is where the cock them pass. I hope I'm not offending the sensitivities of some of our listeners this morning. But I got to talk it, I got to say it as it is, bro. Once you hear people telling you that a sum of money was allocated, the police and me saying, cock come in here. Because I don't like sum of money. Money is direct numbers we just talk about. And hear what they say, the last part of this thing, before I bring in CC. They say, like, is everything this commission of inquiry were told and they believe? They said the commission of inquiry, we were told that the government assigned a minister to each grieving family, whose responsibility was to personally ensure that the assigned families were coping and their needs were being met. You had about at least 19 families affected by this tragedy. So you're telling me you had 19 government ministers that were assigned to each family. They say each, let me read what they say. English language and interpretation. We are told that the government assigned a minister to each grieving family. So therefore, if you had 19 grieving family, they're saying the government might have provided a minister to each grieving family, whose responsibility was to personally ensure that the assigned families were coping and that their needs were being met. Let me bring in CCA, buddy, and things. CC, help again. You're the man with a lot of experience. Help me. But this sum of money, the first thing, explain to me what is a sum of money. And explain
Well,
to me how you could have assigned a minister to each grieving family. Go ahead.
well, when you talk about some more money, I really can't explain that. And I remember on the East Coast during the contraband days, very senior officer at Vigilance Police Station lodged a bag containing, and he put the amount of potatoes, because them boys used to thief out the potatoes. And when he went back to uplift, he found the bag and he found the exact amount of potatoes. But he discovered that he had lost some big potatoes. So the bag containing share small potatoes. Them the police Take out the big ones, go to the market and collect some small ones and put them in the bag. So you had a bag containing X among the potatoes, but they it was say small potatoes, all the big ones gone. And you can't sell some more money in these modern times. You gotta put how much money they got. And then they had over 20 persons died. So they had 20 ministers. Because if you attach a minister to each grieving family, unless they had family had more than one family had more than one death. So all the ministers really, I know there are so many ministers attached to each family, one minister for family, This thing has gotta be clear. And then life is cheap. $5 million for the death of your daughter. $5 million for $5 million for the death of your daughter, and then the person who negotiated with the family, or perhaps who influenced the family to accept the money, he is the lawyer for the
I'm coming
commission.
to that. I can read what I say. I'm coming. Don't jump the gun. I'm coming. I'm reading exactly what I say, so they can't go and say we misrepresenting
Yeah,
anybody. I'm
yeah,
reading exactly what the report said. As I told you, a loyal student sent a copy to me, and I was able to, over the past couple of days, read. And I went so far to make sure that I get extracts of certain aspects of this report that I find very worrying. And let me read a part about the compensation. Now, this is on page 47, folks. On page 47 on the report, and it is entitled Agreement for Financial Assistance. And here what they say, it started out by saying, Ms. Shoshona Lal, Attorney at Law of the Office of the Honorable Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, appeared to us to inform the Commission of the agreement for financial assistance executed by and on behalf of those affected by the fire. She testified that she was part of a team that assisted the Honorable Attorney General in drafting an agreement that formed the basis of financial assistance to the victims and their families. The witness stated that legal advice and research were provided to the cabinet, and it was pursuant to that research and advice that she and her team were given instructions to draft the agreement. She reported that having received approval of the agreement, she and the team led by the Attorney General thereafter visited Madja and engaged with the families. The witness testified that the engagement took the form of a meeting with the group, then individual meetings with each family. She stated that they went through very carefully each line of the agreement systematically. The parents were provided with an independent counsel with whom they had the opportunity to consult privately before executing the agreement. The witness testified that some of the families spoke in their native Patamonia language, and therefore the engagement always had a translator translating for such persons. We are told that at no time was there any pressure, intimidation, or force used to execute the said agreement, and that it was done based on the free will of those who received assistance. And then it goes on to say, Ms. Lal further stated that she then prepared a report based on the agreement of the financial assistance provided and the independent advice that was tendered to the families and to the number of persons who received the assistance. Financial assistance was disaggregated in the following terms: $5 million for families of the deceased, $3 million for those who were severely injured, and $500,000 for those who suffered minor injuries. Well, you got a lot of stuff to unpack. A lot of stuff to unpack. She said that these people got independent advice. And the commission and telling you that this person who was made to give independent advice to the families, Keoma Griffith from a law firm on South Road, he became the lawyer to the commission. So they did not mention that. And I looked in the report too. All the pictures, I saw the picture of all of these people there, the victims, the family, and all set of picture. I ain't seen this one, the lawyer to the commission. Each picture is not there. This is the lawyer who represented those persons that Ms. Lal is talking about and gave them advice in respect to this matter. He gave them advice. And then he became the secretary to the commission. They're mentioning him. They're not mentioning him. Why they are not mentioning him? Because they know. I said it before, there's a clear conflict of interest. How could you have represented the victims and then come back and be on the commission to be the lawyer to the commission? Unless the only way you should have been in the commission is if you have to give evidence in the commission, but not to be the lawyer in the commission. And then they say this is what we call police language. Police language. She stated that they went through very carefully each line of the agreement systematically. The parents were provided with independent counsel with whom they had the opportunity to consult with privately before executing the agreement. And then she said that some of them spoke in the language. They had interpreters to interpret for them. And then the nonsense on this commission. We were told. That's what I'm telling you. We were told. So you are not in a position to make an assessment as to whether you are told what you've been told is lie. Did you not interrogate that aspect? We were told. We were told that at no time was there any pressure, intimidation, or force used to execute the said agreement, and it was done based on the free will and those who received assistance. We know that the people were pressured. That is why the Attorney General went there himself. That was the allegation, that he went there personally, and they told people if they didn't sign now, they walked with cash. How was it dispersed? They flew into the area with cash Guyana currency. And that is coercion, in case you don't know. They wave the cash and say, take it now or you ain't getting it at all. Take it now or nothing. And under those circumstances, a lot of people took the money. A lot of people, it was said, were reluctant, even though when they got the advice and the thing, they were reluctant to take money. They were reluctant to accept the money. But what happened? They were forced and they were told plainly. It was alleged that they were told openly that if you don't take it now, you got nothing to get. You're talking about poor people in the interland. You're waving a $5 million, $3 million, and a 500,000, and now you're threatening them that if they don't take it now, they ain't getting nothing to get. How many people, would have been able to resist that type of pressure and temptation? That's easy. How many persons? Yeah?
A real case of a cold-blooded case of conflict of interest, and then it has similarity like the caution statements that the police is taking, threats. They've threatened them, take it or you won't get anything to get, That the whole thing is stinking, Paul. Life is so cheap, $5 million, and then they negotiate, or to use the term, the influencer, the person who's influencing the persons to take the money is the attorney for the commission. God, I really can't find words to describe that part of the inquiry. Total lawlessness.
Well, you say lawlessness. I said total BS, total bullshit. You recognize it from a distance as an experienced police commander. You read thousands of reports. You recognize that right away that is what it is. Now let me go on to page 50. Financial response, page 50, folks. Hear what the Commissioner of Inquiry said. Hear what the Commissioner of Inquiry led by Joe Singh and include Kim Kite John, Dr. Kim Kite, well, she Thomas now, Kim Kite Thomas, a former magistrate and a lawyer. This is what they wrote. I don't know the other man who represented the third post. I don't know him. I saw him there, but I don't know him. But I thought I knew Josin. I thought I knew Kim Kite Thomas. But this can't be their work. They might have signed it blindly. This cannot be their work. And I hope they will come out and denounce this thing that is presented on their behalf. Because what page 50 said, it is evident that a significant amount of money was expended by the government of Guyana to provide an effective response. These efforts are commendable and serve to effect to solve to negate the effect of the tragedy. It goes on to say, with respect to the agreement for financial assistance, we note that no value of money can ever replace a life or limb, let alone a child with so much hope, dreams, and aspirations. We are of the view, however, that the sum of 5 million distributed to families of the deceased persons was sufficient. Let me read that back. They said we are of the views of that $5 million distributed to families of the deceased was sufficient. We also find that the sum of the upper scale, $3 million, dispensed to those who suffer physical injury was also sufficient. The commission, however, was not satisfied with the method of disbursement of the said $3 million. Some students with minor physical injuries either received assistance at the lower end of the scale, which is $500,000, or nothing at all. Further, students without any physical injuries did not receive lump sum assistance. We find it unfortunate that every female student involved in the fire on the evening of 21st of May 2023 did not receive financial assistance at the upper end of the scale. But the Commission of Inquiry said that this $5 million that was given to these relatives of the deceased children was sufficient. That is the word. 5 million is what, 25,000 US dollars was sufficient. And the 3 million to the injured person was sufficient as well. The only thing in this report when they seem not to say they don't agree with is the fact that some of the children don't get no money. That is what they say. I still can't believe that former Chief of Staff, retired Major General Joe Singh, former magistrate, former Solicitor General, Dr. Kim Thomas, would sign this report. I don't think they prepared it. I don't think that they prepared this report. I would think that Mr. Singh and Mrs. Thomas are more particular, as they would say. And these things that you see in here, for example, the story about Madja, I don't think they would make such a mistake. I really still can't believe that they would make such a mistake and write this thing. I believe they're sign blind, and having presented it, they decide they're going to roll with the punches or go with the flow, but something is wrong. This report is such a bullshit report, and I saw in, I think it was yesterday's paper, a lot of prominent persons came out with a letter. Dr. Adams, GHK Lal, some of the people asked some questions about this report. Vincent Adams, Alfred Bulai, Andre Brandy, Janet Bulkan, Casimiro, Kushial, GHK Lal, Joe Prasad, Vanda Razik, Charles Pilgrim, Charlie Wilkinson. These are people who wrote a letter in Stabrook News yesterday asking some questions about this report. I really and truly, having read this report, and I read it again, just in case I miss something, I'm going to read it again. And you know, Mr. Conway has said on this program on several occasions that when we read, we are trained, you don't just read a statement, you just don't read a report. You read and you analyze. You do statement analysis. You do report analysis. So that is what I am in the process of doing, to analyze this thing more carefully, to see if really I have overlooked something. But based on what I have read, I can only say that this report was set out to whitewash what transpired. So the government was to be absolved of all blames. As I said, some of the most egregious things in this report is when the attorney from the Attorney General's chamber can tell us that these people receive independent legal advice, did not name who gave the advice, and the reason that was omitted is deliberate. Well, I don't know if she named it in the commission, but the report did not name it. It's because the same person who gave the family advice turned out to be the lawyer for the commission, Kioma Griffith from a South, that they had said initially, from a law firm on South Road. Conflict of interest, clear unprofessionalism. Clear unprofessionalism. They went into the interior and browbeat those persons into signing this thing, despite what they say. That is what it is alleged from very early. They went there, they threatened them, they do all kind of thing. They took the money. They did not say that, how was the cash dispersed? $5 million of family, I understand no check was prepared. That is the understanding. They carry the money, carry the money. You show $5 million in front of the poor family and tell them take it or leave it. What do you think they're gonna do? Take it or leave it, and then you want to say there was no coercion, there was no intimidation, and the sign of the free will and volition? BS, BS. Let me bring back in Mr. Conway and CC. Say something more on this
Yeah,
matter, man.
carrot and stick, carrot and stick mentality, man. Take the money or you don't get nothing. You know, and even the certain things that they didn't really highlight. For instance, the first responder from the fire service to that fire, they didn't highlight that. The first responder went on an ATV. Perhaps ATV is vehicle of choice by the Joint Service. Remember in the escape of Smalley, we hear about ATV being used. And then they didn't highlight either the browser for the Maja fire station, the Maja fire station. At the time of the fire, it was at Letem. It, it was at Letem, washing the streets for the visit of the president and the flag raising ceremony. The fire chief could not have taken on his own to send that vehicle, that browser, to Letem to wash the streets of Letem for the flag raising ceremony when it was required at Majo. He could not take it on his own. It had to be the movers and shakers of the fire service who give the direction for it to go to Majo. And they also query why, if they look at the what they call the Greenfell Tower fire in London in 27, there are several lessons to be learned. There are several things that they could have garnered from looking at that report, which was a major fire at the tower there in London. They look at that. The whole thing looked like to me like was a whitewash. And then what yardstick they use to come up with the idea that, hey, $5 million for the death of my child was enough, was adequate. As I said earlier, the whole thing was designed to look at the government interests and to whitewash the whole arrangement. The minister can't get away from this. No way, no shape or form. Whenever done, it was the ministry's responsibility, and the ministry had a head, which is the minister, and that minister didn't give his testimony, didn't go and talk one word at that inquiry. The whole thing was a sham, and I'm disappointed with that report.
To say, all I can say is that it would appear that the report did what they were paid to do: whitewash this whole thing, absolve the government from blame, and as some people saying, it's gonna be business as usual. But it is the worst report I have read. The thing is clearly um, designed for one purpose, and that purpose is to absolve the government. And then when the commission keeps saying that we were told, this was the evidence. You were told this. Did you interrogate those things? Huh? Did you interrogate it? Again, I say, when you were told that these persons received independent advice, who gave the advice? You did not mention that, because you know that if you had mentioned that, the whole conflict of interest issue would have been revealed. So you hide the name of the liar. Who was there with you throughout? Who was there with you throughout? And we saw it coming, because during the summing up of the Commission of Inquiry, the same liar to the Commission of Inquiry started to point fingers at the fire chief, who they eventually threw under the bus. He is the man. Look at his summing up. Look at his summing up. He was pointing all the blame at the Guyana Fire Service. He never mentioned blame apportioned to the minister. The minister said it wasn't our ministry's responsibility. It was the minister. of Local Government or the Ministry of Local Government. They never called anyone from the Ministry of Local Government, and yet still they want us to believe that this is a credible report. Cannot be. Any sensible person reading this cannot see. But what they're going to tell you, oh, the investigation was done, and that is what the Commission of Inquiry said. And some people have argued that a Commission of Inquiry is limited by the terms of reference. I understand that. But even given the terms of reference, this limited and restricted terms of reference of this Commission of Inquiry, they did not acquit themselves well. I can tell you that. They did not acquit themselves well, because some of the things that they mentioned can be clearly contradicted. I'll go back to the start when they talk about the Maja Township. And since Maja gained Township, that is when you get police station, you have medical facilities, that is what that report said. And we know that that is not so. Police station, medical facilities have been there for the longest while. So when you read page 14 and you saw that, then you should not be, and I was not surprised by the other statements made later down in the report. But CC, we got to come back to this report again. When I know you have not read it fully, I have read it, but I got to go through it again and come back to advise our students on other aspects of this report. But as you rightly pointed out, they never mentioned that the water bowser that was assigned to Madhya, and you know water bowser is them big container carrying water. So you get a fire, it comes up there, you get a couple thousand gallons, and that is it. But in this Madhya case, the fire truck that they had there, I don't think they said 450 gallons of water only. So the water bowser might have been able to assist a little further. But no, that could not have done. And then a previous statement attributed to the chairman of that Commission of Inquiry, when he made the presentation, I think it was on the 20th, that he's saying that even if all the other systems were in place, that would not have alleviated the issue there with the fire. In other words, he's saying that if the grills weren't there, if the you had fire extinguisher and all of that, there would not have been a different result. That is what the former chief of staff said. And like this former chief of staff just signing thing, they didn't read it. Because I still can't believe that the Joe Singh that I know or knew would sign on to something like that. I can't believe it. Trust me, I really can't believe that he would sign something like that. Yes, that is what it is. So CC, we got to come back and deal with this matter some other time. What do you think?
I agree with you. And as you mentioned or you alluded to, we did statement analysis, with the number one premier law enforcement training institution in the world, the FBI. And they give us opportunity where we had opportunity to do statement analysis of memos, of reports that the then director, Mr. Louis Freeze, wrote, So we know about statement analysis, and you can't just come on whitewash thing there, that we know how to analyze statements.
And that is exactly what I did. I did not see statements in this case. I saw the report, and having done a careful analysis of the report, I saw, and even before I saw it, I smelled it. I smell that noxious substance in the air. We call it bullshit. That is what I smell. And I said the smell started to emanate from the inquiry itself when this lawyer tried to throw the fire people under the bus and try to absolve, as he did eventually, the others from bail. I still want to know who wrote this report, Still want to know who did the actual writing of this report. I know the report is presented on behalf of the Commission of Inquiry. I know the three commissioners signed off to it, but I still can't believe that they actually wrote the report, or whether they get some secretary, or whether it was presented to them, or whether the secretary and the lawyer wrote this report. I really can't. Trust me, and I'm being honest there. I can't believe that the Joe Singh that I knew and the Dr. Kim Kite Thomas will themselves write this report. I really can't believe that. I really, really, really cannot believe that. But then perhaps I'm naive. Perhaps I must admit to some amount of naivety. So let me move on, CC. They got a few issues quickly. I noted we commented on this murder at Rosal Tongue some time ago when the mother and her son was killed. They made arrests. They released the people. They made arrests. they release again. I noted over the weekend that our next arrest, crime chief is has said that another arrest made in this matter. See, you make arrests, you release people. You make arrests, you release again. Now you arrest. But what really going on with the police and these investigations? On what basis you arrested? If you have to arrest and release, arrest and release, arrest a third time, I can anticipate that if charges are brought at this stage, the lawyers are going to go berserk in trying to establish that you really know what you're doing because you made several arrests before you release people and now you're arresting my client. That is what the lawyers are going to argue. That's easy.
So true. And surprisingly, they didn't, maybe because we spoke, they didn't release the names of the persons or persons that they arrested, so joking.
Well, let me see. Let me see where that will go. And then the next matter that I wanted to touch on briefly. This year again, just like last year, ended with a lot of fires. I see over the weekend we had at least 3 fires, and there was one at Linden where it has been reported that the firefighters were assaulted by persons in Linden. Well, I wish to condemn that in the most forceful of manner. You can't assault firemen who come to put out a fire. You might not be satisfied with what's going on, but you cannot do that. And that should be condemned by all right-thinking persons. The firemen, when they come to put out a fire, they come with all good intentions to put out the fire, to save life, to save property, and all of that. And if, in your opinion, they might not be doing what you want them to do, right? But you can't assault the people. Let's assume that because of that now, they decide they're turning up. What do you think is going to happen? What is going to happen? And so therefore, I would hope that the persons who are responsible are identified and made to face the full extent of the law. You cannot be assaulting firemen when they come to fight a fire. See what let me hear you on that.
I join with you in condemning it, And then we got to be careful. Sometimes when I hold no brief for the fire service, but sometimes when they go there with a vehicle or that, has a certain amount of water. And then when that water runs out, it has to source water from elsewhere. And sometimes there's no source around there to supply them water. So you got to be careful. And then for me, in most cases, they've been doing excellent work. And to assault them, to throw bricks on them, to throw stones on them, it is not the way that we are to behave. No way.
Well, yeah, because when they leave the fire station, they come with all good intentions. The people are putting their lives on the line to save lives and property, and you can't do that. That cannot be accepted. And again, I say I hope they start with all these CCTV cameras and all this social media stuff. I hope they identify those persons responsible and take the appropriate action. And finally, CC, before we go, I don't know if you heard about this, but I hear, I make a note to tell you, I hear that there's a very serious allegation, very, very serious allegation, mind you, that is being leveled against a senior police officer, a very senior police officer. The allegation is that this very senior officer attempted to launder $16.5 million Ghanaian through the police credit union. That is an allegation being circulated that a very senior police officer in the Guyana police force attempted recently, in the past 2 months or so, to launder $16.5 million through the Guyana police force credit union, which is one of the most progressive credit unions in the country, if I should say so myself. I used to be a member of that credit union many years ago. See, the rumor they are around, and I know you're a man who's connected, and I sure you are that rumor.
That's so true, And just to give a little background, we heard about financial irregularities at the police finance office. We heard about financial irregularities at the police quartermaster store. We heard or we saw accounts, we saw advance where a secretary and a driver uplifted hundreds of $1,000s to travel to the interior to do investigation at Orange Juke at Kaikan and at Port Kaitumo police station. No proper investigation. But hardest one, where the money, uh, as you mentioned, the amount millions of dollars, and they say they come from gifts that the person is money laundering. And I hope that Suku would investigate, or the financial investigation unit, or whatever its name, will look at money laundering. All that amount of money being lodged at the police credit union, and I understand maybe we talk later on that some other application was made for a certain other kind of money. Somebody need to look at financial irregularities in the Guyana police force, and more so money laundering.
Well, yeah, and because one of the allegation too is that the persons who were there and decided that no, they're not going to be a part of this illegal scheme were all removed. And this thing requires an investigation. It requires an investigation. Allegation of money laundering, $16.5 million one man depositing at the same time at the police credit union. This requires an investigation. SOKU, well, you can't depend on SOKU to do anything. And if they investigate, the outcome is not going to be what it should be. The Financial Investigation Unit ought to look at that. Perhaps other agencies as well, because this is clear. And this is, again, I say, this is an allegation being made. It's been circulating for a few weeks now that a senior police officer of the Guyana Police Force, very, very senior, attempted to lodge, well, not all attempted, he did deposit $16.5 million in the police credit union. And when the people became diligent and said, no, I think the money was returned, and all the people, all those who were there and involved have been removed to other places. So I guess they're going to get people there who will facilitate that type of illegal act. But where would a senior police officer on his salary find $16.5 million to deposit one time? Clear money laundering. In my view, that is money laundering, because you're going to put it in there and then you're going to take it out, or then you're going to do something with it, and then you're going to, or you take a loan, which then you can say, well, it's a loan from this place. A lot of irregularities seems to have been occurring in recent times. The Minister of Home Affairs in 2021 said that $300 million were missing from the Police Finance Office. They said the investigation will launch. You hear nothing about that. You hear a lot of people being charged for some small amount with feeding and all of that. We ourselves were charged. 300 million, that is what the minister said in 2021 in the budget presentation in Parliament. And then a few months ago, we learned that there was some allegation of a $300 million irregularity at the quartermaster store involving items that should have been brought in or whatever. And the head was removed. A lot of people were removed, and they got a musical chair going on at the place there, because I understand the people said that some of those items they never received. And I want to remind our listeners, our students, that when we talk about the police and that amount of money and the quartermaster store and the police finance office, that the accounting officer of the police is the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs. Let me understand it. The accounting officer, or the person responsible for all of the capital expenditure, is the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs. So we will hope that they will look into this allegation of this $16 million. And they're trying to get more information. I'm going to get more. I'm going to get more information on this $16.5 million. $16.5 million. Where this man getting all this money from to make one deposit? Clear, in my view, clear money laundering. So, folks, stay tuned. Stay tuned. CC, your closing remarks.
And I understand the money was in cash too, in 2 black bags.
Oh, my Lord, 2 black bags of cash. 2 black bags. Your closing remarks, brother.
All right, I don't think I have anything more to say. I think we will continue from where we left off, and we continue, as you mentioned, to look at the commissioner's report and other issues.
All right, then thank you, my brother. Folks, yeah, Debbie, the PS is the accounting officer. That is what I think I said. The permanent secretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs is the accounting officer of the Guyana Police Force. Accounting. And my advice is that the accounting deal with all the capital expenditure, and then the police will deal with the current expenditure, which is a small thing and so on. With capital expenditure, the PS Ministry of Home Affairs. So if we get $300 million from the finance, $300 million from the quartermaster store, and then Mr. Well, that is the accounting officer got to say something about that. And then Mr. Conway talk about these advances, hundreds of $1,000s in advances for a secretary to go and do thing on Christmas Eve Day, do investigation Christmas Eve Day, or in do Port Kaituma and all of those far-flung places. Something is wrong, and it is time that this matter is properly investigated and let the culprits face the full force of the law. It is time. This thing has been going on for some time, and somehow it has been swept under the carpet. So even though the minister went to Parliament and he made those statements, or he made that statement, you know, at the same time, he did say how many guns, how many hundreds of guns were missing from the TSU2, and you haven't heard anything more about that. Y'all remember? I can bring it up, I can research it, and give you all the details in a subsequent program. Because he said that $300 million were missing from the police finance office. This is in 2021. Around the same time, he said how many hundreds of guns could not have been accounted for at the TSU. And you don't hear nothing more about that. And we learned that an allegation was made about a large sum of, well, none of his money or the items missing from the quartermaster stores. They're removing people left, right, and center and nothing. So, folks, that is a wrap for today. Let me tell you, I know you're going to be disappointed, but there will be no program on Wednesday. I have some other engagements, commitments that I can't avoid. So, God, spirit, life, all being well, God's willing, we're going to be here next Monday again. Next Monday. But I want you all, subscribe to the channel, like the page, so in case something come up and we decide we're going to come Thursday or Friday or some other day, subscribe, you're going to get the notification. But as it stands now, God's willing, we're going to be back next Wednesday. You know the timing. I don't have to tell you about the timing. We're going to be back next Wednesday to bring you news. But in case we get any great development in any one of these issues, this $16.5 million money laundering story, we might very well hold a special. So the only way you'll know is if you subscribe or if you follow the page. So until then, again, I'd like to urge you to take care. Look out for others. Look out for yourself. Be safe on the roads. The roads continue to be dangerous. Fatal accidents, or they call them fatal incidents, whatever they want to call them. I think we've had about a dozen already for this year deaths. I'm talking about perhaps even more for this year. Stay safe. Stay safe. Make sure you are in class very early on Monday. Until then, bye.